So Drace and I have, we've been friends first and foremost, and we actually first had really connected on a trip up to Ascend Conference from North American Mission Board. And I think we have heard about each other previous to that, and we're both church planters here in the city, and had a chance to really hear his heart in our trip up to Atlanta. And ever since then, there's been a friendship and a bond that has been established there, and just a like-minded, like-hearted guy who feels called to reach the city that he is in. Jacksonville is a very international city, and so we have a heart for many people groups and many languages that are represented here. And so walking together both as church planters and then ultimately bringing him on board on a contracted pastoral role with us, really wanted to help him posture towards the future and fulfilling the dream that God has dreamed up for his life and for his family. And so through that process, we're pleased to announce that we're going to be sending Drace and the Lavanderos family to Nicaragua to be organizing a church plant as well as a training center for pastors that are down there. And so we've always known his missions heart. They've had a posture and an angle towards Hispanic churches and Hispanic nations, and they bring a wonderful eclectic mix to ministry. And so we're really excited what's going on down there. Drace, tell us about your calling to Nicaragua.
Somewhere about 15, 18 months ago, I came off of probably the most difficult season of ministry that I ever had. And really, in all honesty, I was quitting vocational ministry. I didn't lose my love affair with Jesus, but I definitely lost it with the church and ministry. So the only thing I ever wanted to do was to be a police officer. So I pursued that venture. And I was doing my polygraph test as part of the interview, and the polygraphist asked me a question that really just shook me up. She asked me, amongst very practical questions, she asked me very surprisingly, she said, do you want to be a police officer? And it was right there in Tampa, in that small little room. The Holy Spirit just really convicted me and encouraged me that Drace, you know I've called you to be a preacher of the gospel.
How has Epoch been a support to you in regards to preparing for doing a church plant in Nicaragua?
You really provided a place for Jenny and I to sit in the back row, to be rejuvenated, to be encouraged, to be loved. And I think once that happened, as you mentioned, we were back up to dreaming again, to asking God for vision, asking God for things much larger than our humanity. Epoch allowed us to just fall in love with the Great Commission, to trust her bride again, and eventually to dream and to take the biggest adventure that we're ever taking in our life, and that's going to Nicaragua. So yeah, I'm really grateful for you and Epoch. How has sending us to Nicaragua affected you and Epoch Church?
I think it's got to affect the sending pastor on a very personal level before it's going to affect anybody else. And I think just observing you and watching you lead your family through fulfilling this calling, it's really been permission giving, and even asking on a personal level, am I fulfilling the dream that God has dreamed up for our lives? And so there's an excitement and an enthusiasm that comes along with that says, hey, we are contributing to this new work that's going to be taking place in Nicaragua. It gets people thinking beyond their walls, and when you do that, you don't want to do it alone, you want to do it together and moving forward that way. How would you recommend to someone who is wanting to fulfill this calling in their lives, how would you coach them in approaching maybe their lead pastor or some leadership or staffers that are maybe going to be a support to them in that way?
Yeah. Well, I would say, you know, if they've never been on a short-term trip, I would encourage that, a short-term trip in 2004 absolutely changed my life. From there, just listen to the Lord's leading through His Word, His Spirit, His people, His pastor, His shepherds. And I think one of the things we learn is that fear and faith can never coexist together. So really conquering those fear and just trusting that whether you're across the street or across the world, Christ is with you, and being part of His plan is a great opportunity. What would you say about the potential and maybe the planning of sending people from your congregation, in your case from your own staff, to be missionaries to the unreached and different places of the world? What would you say as a way of encouragement to them?
I think anytime a group of people start to think beyond themselves, that there's something they're contributing to that's bigger than who they are, I think that becomes a unifying factor. I think it brings people together. I think it brings a sense of excitement and purpose to their lives, and that they're moving forward as a faith community together. I would say that is the pinnacle of why we do what we do. It is the ultimate in regards to shepherding someone ultimately to the place where they're leading others, and being a missionary is one of those callings. We're super excited about Drace going down, and particularly for the reason that Drace is leading by example with what we're trying to convey here at Epoch, and that everyone has a dream that God has dreamed up for your life, and a calling, and we want you to be equipped, we want you to be resourced to be able to go and to be able to fulfill that calling. That would be true for myself as well as any other member of Epoch Church, and Drace and his family are fulfilling that in front of them, and so his leadership just in that has really gotten Epoch Church jazzed about missions, about thinking globally and going beyond just our four walls. And it has become a unifying factor for who we are, because they've come to love Drace and his family, and so there's relational value. You're not just sending anyone who's just happened to be on a prayer card. You're sending someone you've done life with, and you always send the best while you do that. And I'm pretty sure that's biblical. So.